My name is Nancy. The appliance I had been eyeing was on sale the other day, so I jumped at the chance, but a new model of the same brand came out right after. I'm 35 and feel frustrated every time I use it. I guess there's a flip side to every sweet deal. Oh, yeah. Speaking of which, my past is a perfect example of that. Please hear me out. When I was around 28, I graduated from a medical school and managed to find a job. I was finally on my own even though I was just a doctor in training, or more like a chicklet of a doctor. It was my husband, Chris, who was my age and had dealt with my stress during my studies and listened to my complaints and hardships about my work wholeheartedly for a long time. Chris and I didn't attend the same university, but we met through our mutual friend and dated since school, so we had never questioned about our future. We had already been living together and got married as soon as I became a doctor. It all went fast without a hiccup, but after a few years of marriage, I started to wonder if my choice of a partner might have been a mistake. It was around this time. Since becoming a doctor, my life had been hectic and I had been working day and night. That day too. I came out of a night shift totally worn out and just wanted to jump in my bed. When I wearily opened the front door, I thought, again, and felt fed up. The room was ridiculously messy. It was Chris. He left all his clothes on the floor, never put them in a washing machine, or not even in the laundry room. When I get back home, I must start collecting after Chris's trail. The dirty dishes he used the night before and at breakfast weren't even cleaned up. Even though he was alone, there were 3 glasses in the sink. He only uses a glass once, then keep using a new one as the day goes by, so it becomes such a mess. I wished he could manage to use one plate to put all his food. Instead, he uses one for every dish. Inevitably, the usage increases. It was my morning routine to clean up after Chris' huge mess after my night shift. Chris worked at a temp agency. His job was mainly office work, so he was able to go home on time every day. He goes to work near our home at around 8 a.m. He had much more free time than me, but he never helped with housework and I was getting frustrated. It was my day off, and usually Chris was also off. I was happy to spend time together in a long while, but I realized that it was wishful thinking. Chris suddenly screamed, "Oh my God!" I rushed to his side and asked, "What's wrong?" "Nothing, just that the light bulb was dead. Cut off suddenly so I freaked out. Sorry. Okay, glad it was nothing." I was relieved and was about to walk away. In that moment, "Well, you changed the light bulb. Sorry, move aside, I have a series to watch." "Huh?" He didn't even sense my frustration and hummed back to the living room. "No way! You were the one who killed the light bulb. Change it yourself." I felt deflating inside, but I didn't want to argue on our day off after all. Conflict strained our energy and spiraled down to negativity. Okay, whatever. Feeling a bit snide, I changed the light bulb. But since then, our days off together often created troubles. I got that it was not intentional. I was simply unlucky. When he rushed out of the bathroom and said, "It's clogged, please suck it out, I can't do it," I seriously considered punching him immediately after that. He invited his 6 colleagues to the house without asking me and made me cook for them. It was my precious day off too, but I couldn't even sip a beer. It was irritating that I could do nothing but cook and be a server all day. Right after I saw them off, "Has the bathtub been drawn?" he asked. I think anyone would be offended by this. It was not a wife's duty, but a slave's to put up with him. I even thought to myself, why keep quiet? So I took all of my frustrations out on him, just as they were. I've been thinking for a while that you need to take responsibility on things you can do by yourself and your mistakes. You took a liberty of inviting your colleagues and put all the burden on me, and still asking me to do this and that, but I'm only a human. It's not like I got multiple arms like Hindu gods. Then he snapped back.
What's with the attitude? You are my wife. It's your duty to do the housework.
He left with,
I don't care anymore,
and locked himself in his room. I thought, what? You're not taking a bath after all? But because I've John the bath, I didn't want him to take it for granted, so I filled the tub for myself and then drained it afterward. He took a shower late that night. He was kind before marriage. He naturally helped with anything without being asked. He was a reliable guy. How did he become like this? 1940s masculinity, women must do all the housework, such backward thinking. I could not understand it at all. Next morning, he urged,
Sit down,
in a chair in our living room. I sat down as told.
I think you don't appreciate me enough.
Huh? Despite me showing a struggle to understand him, he continued without a care.
My female colleague told me that you should be thankful just to have a husband. Taking garbage out, preparing a meal, or cleaning the house is for sissy guys. It was an act of not trusting the ability of your wife.
All of that was done by him before we were married. It continued some time after the marriage. Not only is it not sissy, but it's a wonderful thing to do as a husband. I'm sure anyone would agree. Someone with old values had rubbed off unnecessary things to my husband. Your Highness continued.
That's why I act like a real man and be the husband that I should be. I trust all housework in your hands.
You shouldn't be easily influenced by what people tell you. Shouldn't you discuss with me first?
Shut up and just listen.
Shut up? He told me to shut up? I clenched my right hand impulsively. If there was no law in this country, I would have beaten the crap out of him.
I'm going to make an arrangement so that you can appreciate me more.
Arrangement? I was like, huh? What in the world is he talking about? I was dumbfounded.
That's right. First of all, you must know that I am the head of the household. For that, you're going to give me all your savings and I'll give you allowance. By doing so, you'll have more appreciation for me. Also, you must wake up before me on our day offs and make a comfortable living space by cleaning and cooking and then...
Sorry, but be quiet. That's enough. I can't listen to you. Wow, I said it. I knew I should have been calmer, but I was just being honest. Besides, did this guy understand what the meaning of an arrangement was?
What did you say? You want a divorce? If you cannot agree with me, I'll divorce you,
he said with a smirk. He thought he could threaten me. Too bad. That was if he was worth it. I didn't even want a husband who threatened me with stupid conditions. I replied immediately, Okay, let's divorce. If I agree with those conditions, I suppose you will eventually say, Ram up my car before I leave. I'm not a slave. You are not the master. It's actually me. Boss around once you become the president. You outdated, delusional son of a gun.
What? Are you serious? So easily deciding on such an important matter?
The one who had threatened divorce was now panicked. I guess he wasn't serious, but it was nothing but luck for me. Yeah, I fell out of love all at once. Let's divorce.
You. What would you do if I remarried right away?
Nothing. You think I would regret it? You are nobody but a stranger, so do as you please. Maybe I'll wish you happiness.
You are heartless.
Indeed, I have come from the land of the heartless to spread heartlessness. Well, it was such a foolish exchange, but we decided to divorce in this immature manner. 3 months passed since then. I had sold the house. I was living alone in an apartment near my work when Chris showed up unannounced. He knew that I moved when the house was sold, but I hadn't informed him of my new address. I thought it was creepy and answered, "What do you want?" over the interphone.
Please, let me in. I need to speak to you.
No! I was bothered by my ex-husband's request, but He looked troubled, so I let him in for the time being. Although I was a bit scared of being assaulted, I think it should be okay as there's security in place. In such case, I could also use my judo skill, albeit in high school. I can throw him over my shoulder as hard as I can. That's what I was thinking, but his posture was slouched and visibly exhausted that it seemed there was no energy for assault. I was shocked to see the change in his appearance. What's up? No, what's wrong? I asked.
I got remarried.
For a moment, I thought he came to boast about his remarriage, and I said, okay, get out, in my head, but I held back from actually saying it out loud. Good for you. And what does the happiest guy want from me?
I'm not happy.
Huh? Counseling for marriage blues? I'm a physician, and psychology is a different field. Impulsively, I checked around his eyes, skin tone, and dryness of his lips as a side effect of my job. Looking closely, he seemed skinnier.
My wife, she is sweet, and when I told her the reason of our divorce, she said, it's the wife's fault. She's a woman who affirms all of me. She even says I shouldn't touch any housework. I thought she would accept me for who I am.
Well, did you come here to brag about your wife and complain about our past? If so, get out. I showed a blatantly annoyed look for letting a troublesome guy in.
No, that's not it.
Speak up, then. Oops, this conversation was so annoying that I pushed him.
Her cooking is disgusting.
His sudden confession made me laugh out loud. Her cooking is disgusting? How? When I asked, he explained in detail. She steamed rice, strawberries, chocolate, and butter together, and then added ketchup and olive oil on top. This arranged paella fried rice was his weirdly creative breakfast cuisine. Another one was supposed to be salted grilled fish, which was burnt and crumbled all over the grill. It somehow turned into arranged fish flakes with bones. And then there was a mysterious dish with kneaded sausage and rice that was fried medium rare and topped with molasses. Not only was her cooking bad, she had no sense of budget and pointlessly bought expensive Wagyu just because there was a sale. She bought multiple similar cleaning tools and appliances. She washed clothes that could not be washed in a machine, and when he realized that, most of his favorite clothes were shrunk and unwearable. It was surprising to know that he was remarried in 3 months, but it was even more shocking to hear about such harms caused in 3 months. First of all, she must have lured him and turned him into a bossy husband. Served him right.
I thought it was much better to do it myself after all, so I told her I would take over the housework, but she said it was not for a man. She is very adamant. When I'm eating regular food, her cooking pops up in my mind and I lose my appetite. I'm starting to appreciate you now.
Frankly, I was not grateful for being appreciated over such things, but I kept silent. Then he got out of the chair and grabbed my arms. Oh no, just as I thought. I braced myself at an angle trying to avoid his attack, but he looked at me with pleading eyes and said, "Please, I want to get back with you." His sudden burst made me cringe. Is he re-proposing? Or wants to replace his wife's food for my cooking? I came up with an idea and smiled at him. It must have been rough, and stroked his hair.
You get me.
He was looking saved. Of course, the truth is I was thinking of you after the divorce.
Nancy.
He popped up in my mind even during work. I also had a lot of thoughts since we divorced. I made a bit of a somber smile. Chris was like,
"It was my fault,"
and apologized.
"Now I know from the bottom of my heart how much I appreciate you. I will not make the same mistakes again. Please give me a chance."
Chance? I knew what he was going to say from the flow and his vibe. I meekly pretended to be oblivious.
I still love you. I'm glad to know you feel the same. I'm sure you're anxious, but I will do my best. Spend the bright future with me once again? I want us to be together again.
Sorry, I have a boyfriend.
What?
Before he could finish, I cut him off by saying I have a boyfriend and declined. He made a dumb, absent-minded whimper that I wanted to ask where the sound came from. When I said I was divorced, my young colleague came to me, then move on to the next love. I contemplated, but I was single and honestly he is good looking, so we're together now.
Huh? But you said you were thinking of me.
Right, I was thinking that it would be hard for you to marry again, and would be funny if you had a downfall. So yeah, I was thinking in that sense. I couldn't believe you got remarried so soon though.
Huh?
He looked dumbfounded and couldn't say anything but repeat, huh? His comical appearance was like a new creature. I would name it Ha Dumbsaurus.
But, you had many ponderings, huh? But what were they?
Yeah, that I thought it was right for us to divorce. That was the real you. I met a new boyfriend, then I thought it all fell into place at the end. Just because it sounded a bit flirtatious, you totally fell for it. To my unhesitating answer, he replied,
You're kidding.
And he crumpled down to the floor like a deflating balloon. Haha, thank you for the steamy proposal. Sorry, I seem to be popular.
Then what should I do?
Huh? I don't know. When you were married to me, you could have helped out with housework, but you didn't. It's an equivalent. Your wife who is not good at housework but does everything for you. You're a perfect match. I couldn't contain my laughter and laughed out loud as I congratulated him.
I cannot stand it anymore. Why can't you help me out?
What a one-sided request. Were you listening? I have a boyfriend. I'm not gonna help you. But maybe if you give all your savings and praise your next wife as the best, then even if you divorce your current wife, someone new may get attracted to you. After I said that much, I pulled him up. Well, get out, and kicked the astounded Chris out of my apartment. When he came back to reality, I heard him knocking on the door a few times. I kept ignoring him for some time until he left. After that, I heard from him again.
I divorced bad cooking wife and remarried.
Just a show off. Yeah, whatever. I kept silent until he got in touch again.
My current wife happens to be a lazy wife who is good at making a messy house.
So I was told. It was not about carrying out a successful marriage, but he had no sense of judging people. I was about to suggest him to write an essay on his past marriages. Instead, I replied, I got remarried with my boyfriend, with a photo of our happy wedding. It worked well. I've never heard from him since. It was entertaining to watch his downfall, and I miss hearing about his amusing life a bit, but I'm relieved to have successfully cut ties. My last revenge to send our wedding photo was accomplished. Since then, my husband and I have a daughter, and oh my, does she look exactly like my husband and is beyond adorable. I already worry about her meeting some bad boy and cry imagining her in a wedding dress. I told my husband. He laughed.
That's exactly the emotion of a father.
My current husband helps out with housework. I'm on maternity leave and haven't worked a night shift, but when I was working, he had never let me do a chore after a night shift. If I even tried to go and throw garbage out, don't underestimate the night shift. Health comes first for doctors. Take a rest. He yelled. Not only am I fortunate to have the same work as him, I'm grateful to have such a husband. Comfortable living space can't be created by force. It is created with our feelings. From now on, with my adorable daughter and my handsome husband, the three of us will support each other and live our best life as our family lay alongside in the sunny living room.